the nonprofit space, you probably need to get a lot done with a little. You're listening to Hacks for Good with nonprofit technology nerd Taylor Shanklin.
We're all hustling at nonprofits, at startups.
T-Shank is going to break it down for you.
It's a grind, right? You've got to do a lot with a little.
Giving you tips and tricks to grow your mission.
So I'm going to be sharing my toolkit.
And use the latest and greatest tools available to growth hack your cause.
Hey, fundraising friends. It's Taylor Shanklin, aka T-Shank, here on Hacks for Good. I'm joining you today from a very windy and wet Austin, Texas, with tropical storm going on from Hurricane Harvey. If you are watching this right now, I want to encourage you first, before we get into the content of this, to go and make a donation to one of the disaster relief organizations. Red Cross has a special campaign going on. Save the Children has a special campaign going on. And these organizations are helping people who are displaced by flooding and the tumultuous weather and giving them a place to go. So I'm going to put a link to a couple of the donation campaigns here in the video so you can go check that out. It's Sunday morning. If you had brunch plans, I urge you to skip this Sunday brunch and make a donation instead. Okay, so that being said, I want to talk today about something that I've been thinking about a lot lately and working on practicing in my own life, and that is patience. So I know here on Hacks for Good, a lot of what I do is wanting to show technology and ways of doing things. If you're a nonprofit professional or a marketing professional, trying to do a lot with a little. And I have been getting a bit more philosophical lately. I know, and in some of my car videos when I'm driving and kind of just thinking about things as I go along and finding a little bit of time to get in a video and get some thoughts down. But the reason why I've been doing that and getting more philosophical and talking more about the psychology of things is because I think that this is an area of our lives where the psychology of things really affects how we approach our professional space. And I think that why you can go out and find 100 blog posts or YouTube videos on a particular topic on how to use a certain piece of software or how to increase your SEO, something like that, right? There's a bunch of stuff on the web out there about that. But I don't feel like we're necessarily talking enough about the human stuff and being candid about that. So I want to talk today about patience. Patience is something that, I've personally been working on in my personal life at home, with my kids, with my marriage, and also taking that to my professional life and just kind of my way of being. I'm a mom of 2 kids. I have a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old. And so something that we've been talking about at our house a lot is patience. My kids are chatty. I don't know where they got that from, but they're chatty. They love to interrupt and just blurt out whatever is going on in their minds that they want to say at any given time, no matter whether my husband and I are having a conversation and they're interrupting us. I'm having a conversation with one of their friends' parents, or if the other one is talking and they're constantly interrupting each other. So something that we've been working on at home lately with my kids is reminding them to practice patience when they interrupt us or interrupt someone else while they're talking, kind of going, what are we working on? Patience. And I give you a little bit of that background and kind of personal story because I like to look at the way that I'm approaching parenting and apply what I'm trying to teach my kids, the life lessons, the really important things that I really care about, that I think is vital for them to learn to grow up and be nice, good citizens of this world, and be people that other people want to be around and want to work with and want to be friends with. And I like to take that and apply it to how we as adults should be behaving as well, because I think it's very easy for us to tell our kids to practice their patience while at the same time not really expecting that we as adults are practicing patience. I'm there to tell them, hey, don't interrupt, but I don't necessarily have someone there telling me like, what are you working on, Taylor? Practice your patience, right? So part of me making this video is a testament, a document to remind myself to just kind of always be working on this and improving this, but also to just kind of share it as a reminder to my network out there about the importance of patience and how that can affect your relationships, both personally and really, very importantly, professionally. So there's a couple of things that I want to talk about, and kind of tips for what I have found to help me practice patience that I try to remind myself to take with me every day when I'm going to work, when I'm collaborating with someone on something, and I want to share that with you. So one of the first things that I really work to remind myself of is to have empathy. Okay, people, we live in a very crowded, very busy, very noisy world. People just have a lot of shit going on. And we need to remind ourselves of that. So if you're in a situation where you feel like you're just getting stuck, maybe there's a project you're working on and you feel like other people just aren't as focused on it, and therefore it's, lingering longer than you think it needs to be. Maybe you are working on getting a meeting with a major donor, and they're just not getting back to you. It's hard to schedule that. Maybe you're in sales and you're a salesperson and you're trying to get something across the finish line, and the person that you're working with just isn't being responsive, right? We all, I think, encounter this of feeling like, hey, I've extended the olive branch and others aren't being responsive to me. And I think we often internalize that and think, it's just me. What am I doing wrong? But I try to just remind myself, like I said, is people have a lot of shit going on. You might just not be at the top of their list that day. They might be having something going on in their personal lives that you're not aware of, that they're carrying with them on their shoulders every day. They might have a boss who's nagging them about something else that they've got to get done, and so your project just isn't the most pressing or most nagging thing. And you don't want to then become a nagger, right? So here's what I think you can do. Persevere with empathy and with providing value, and practice your patience. So I think it's very, very easy for us to all get wrapped up in, expecting everyone around us to be patient with us, all the while we are being impatient ourselves. So have empathy, persevere by providing value. Whoever it is that you're working with, if you're getting stuck on something, make it as easy as possible for that person to work with you to move the ball forward. Figure out whatever it is that you can do to take as much of the heavy lifting to ultimately get things rolling in the right direction. And sometimes you just have to be patient and give a little bit of space. Say, when is this going to work for you? How can I make it easy? How can I provide value? And If now is not a good time, let me know and we'll come back to the table later. So I think a lot of it has to do with empathy and just recognizing that it's maybe not even you. It's maybe just that this person has a lot of other things going on in their life and you're not at the top of the list right now. But maybe they still ultimately want you to be on that list. So that's kind of one thing that I really try to work on is empathy with patients. The second thing I want to talk about is don't sweat the small stuff. Pick your battles. This is something I think that we all have to work on. We all encounter, It's great to chase all of the shiny objects out there, but it's also just not realistic. It's great to think about persevering on every little thing that's important to you, but it's not just realistic. So try to sit down and spend some time, whether it's, journaling, taking notes, just kind of jotting down what are the things that are really truly the most important in the grand scheme of things. If you're running into trouble with something, ask yourself, is it really worth losing sleep over? Is it worth becoming frustrated and flustered and feeling impatient? And if it is, then certainly persevere. But if it's not, if there's bigger fish to fry, then go fry those bigger fish and, get those things across the goal line. So I think it's easy to become impatient, sweat all of the little things, feel like everything is a battle worth picking, and it's really just not. It's not a good way to live. You're going to get constantly frustrated. You're going to get burnt out. So yeah, just pick your battles. That's one of my biggest takeaways too, both professionally and even as a mom with my kids when they are being impatient. I think pick your battles is a really important just life lesson for us to kind of remind ourselves of. Okay, so that's what I've got today. Practice patience, have empathy for people that you're working with on things, and don't sweat the small stuff. Pick the big battles that are really worth picking. All right, that's it. I urge you to subscribe to my YouTube channel here on Hacks for Good, and that way you can stay tuned for more of these philosophical deep thoughts with T-Shank, and I'll also still bring you some of the fun, hey, here's how you do it in the software tips too. So, la, bye-bye, ta-ta. I don't know why I said la.
We really appreciate you tuning in to Hacks for Good. We hope you got some nuggets you can take back to your nonprofit to accelerate growth, or just get your job done faster. Subscribe for regular updates at hacksforgood.com. If you liked it, please share this out with others you think may like it. Until next time.